Yeah, I'm just gonna like
I see.
set this up here
Okay.
because it gets sound and pigs. Always the pigs. Okay, so what do you think makes you unique as an artist?
What makes me unique as an artist would be, well, as far as for me personally, I feel like I enjoy creating different things of all kind of different mediums and using kind of different projects and different textures as far as being able to learn about a medium and become interested in a medium and then try to implement something um, that would be marketable or sellable as far as like a product that people would be interested in purchasing, and kind of having a median price range of something that people would want to purchase and be able to afford to purchase. For instance, jewelry, having a range of different prices for jewelry, and for just like charms and different crafts, kind of having it and finding opportunities to sell and kind of make revenue. So I'd say that I'm interested in trying different techniques for things. Like right now, I'm kind of going to be learning how to wood burn. I'm actually doing that tonight. I'm going to be making your brother a Valentine's Day gift, which I have to finish. But I'm interested in trying different mediums, and regardless of whether it's going to be something that is going to make, be profitable for me, it's something that once I explore it, I kind of determine to myself whether it would be something that would be possible revenue source.
Okay. What inspired you to be an artist? Like, what influenced you most to do it?
Um, I would say just kind of the desire to do things myself as far as seeing different projects and different things and wanting to kind of recreate it and do it myself as far as different pieces of jewelry or different accessories and wanting to create them for myself or put my own spin on it, or redoing furniture or creating, like a piece of home decor, kind of wanting to be able to do it for myself and create it for myself and understand how other artists go about making it and how artists kind of take other artists' ideas and interpret them. And I thought that was something that was interesting to kind of learn, because as you do a project, even if it's inspired by someone else's idea, it's always going to have a different spin on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Where and how did you learn your skills?
I learned a lot through as far as like my sculpting with polymer clay. YouTube is huge. You can YouTube anything, and I use YouTube for pretty much anything, for sculpting, for nail art, for DIY and home decor projects. Also Pinterest, a lot of ideas and inspiration, even for just ideas for color and things that go well together, is also really inspiring. So I'd say definitely those mediums, for sure.
What is your best medium? Like, do you do best at sculpting? Do you do best at like painting sort of things?
I would definitely say I go in spurts of things, but I would definitely say that sculpting is one of my strongest suits. Definitely three-dimensional work as opposed to two-dimensional work. Even as far as like learning to do nail art is a lot more. I feel like I excel better in three-dimensional arts and sculpting as opposed to two-dimensional, being able to draw and paint, because I can't draw and paint very well. It just seems like three-dimensional skills are a lot more my forte.
Yeah. Okay. What do you use in your medium? Like what specific products and why?
Well, if we want to narrow it down specifically to, like, say, sculpting, there would be, for instance, obviously your clay and different colors that you would use for depending upon which project you would have, and then you would have the different tools. You would have rollers, cuts, as far as like blades, but also like different shaped cutters, You're going to need an oven as well to cure the clay. Otherwise, people just use air dry clay, but it's faster to use an oven hardening clay. And then kind of different paints and things, kind of just depending upon what you want to make, but just to add effects and little pig. So a wide variety of tools, and you can start as minimally or as excessively as you want, as far as being able to use very few tools or, have all the tools in the book. There is a wide range of possibilities.
What are your strengths in your medium, and where are the places for improvement?
I would say that my strengths are, I'm very ambitious when it comes to my ideas. A weakness would be actually following through to complete a project. And I think that that's with any artist, is that they have issues completing, especially with the pressure of like a schedule or a time crunch. It becomes pressuresome. And I would say that doing something for your own pleasure as like a hobby is a lot more gratifying than doing it for the purpose of selling and making a profit on, because you kind of do have to tweak what you make and what you interpret as your art into something that other people need or to fit their specific desires. If it's going to be like, for instance, making charms for necklace as a supply, you're going to kind of have to tweak your product based on the needs of the consumer. So I forgot the question.
Strengths and places for improvement.
My strengths, I really feel that if I have a problem, if I feel like what I'm doing isn't good enough, I feel that I am very ambitious as far as wanting to keep making it until I get it right, until I'm happy with it. And I'm never going to be 100% happy. There's always room for improvement, but I will keep going until I think that it's good and it's going to be something that my customer or somebody that I'm giving it to would be pleased with.
What is your favorite genre? Like, what is your favorite, well, more so for this, what is your favorite part about the job that you do, I guess?
I would definitely say my favorite part is people's appreciation of what I can do and what I can make, and regardless of whatever that is, but it is gratifying to have other people who enjoy your art and people who are excited to see the things that you make and what different creations you have. And I think that that's really encouraging, especially to somebody who does it as a hobby, to have people encourage you and want to help you improve in your skill. I think that that is something that's one of my favorite aspects of it too, where people just enjoy your art and get the same kind of gratification out of it as you do. I mean, it's therapeutic and it's inspiring for you to create, but also for people to appreciate. It kind of goes full circle.
Yeah.
So.
Are any of your relatives artists, and do they share the same interests as you?
I would definitely say that my paternal grandfather, my grandpa Wayne, I remember him telling me that as kids and growing up, and it's still to this day, every single one of his siblings has a skill. His one sister can paint really well, and another sister can, she plays instruments really well, and pretty much all of his brothers are musicians of some sort. My dad is very much into drawing and the arts and creating things, and my aunt can sing and play instruments. My mom obviously makes her jewelry, but she loves the same kind of DIY and crafting and putting things together, and she did a lot of art classes in high school. So I would definitely say that that's influential on my personal artistry, and I think that I guess there just seems to be a lot of art in whatever form, musically or sculpturally, that people have always kind of had throughout my entire life, and it's just we all just kind of have a different niche.
Mm-hmm.
So I would definitely say that there are people that, that I'm related to, and it's just encouraging, like, in your art to have other people that you're related to and that you know, and I can definitely see where the skill kind of passes through generations.
Mm-hmm. Your mom's, she makes her own jewelry. Is she where you got the idea from, to start, making jewelry and sculpting things?
I would definitely say yes. Before I even began to do any sort of sales at all, I just made things for myself, as far as just little fun earrings to wear based on things I'd seen on, Pinterest, or things that I'd seen people make on YouTube. But I remember I had made her a charm set to use in a necklace design that she had, and then people that were fellow stampers and metalsmiths like her were interested in getting those pieces to make their own creations with it, and they had their own ideas or had customers who wanted specific charms, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever they had requested of me. So I would definitely say she was the person who encouraged me and kind of helped me get that start into being able to do it as far as a source of income too.
Mm-hmm.
So
When did you start doing that? About?
I want to say early 2012, so probably around 3 years. And it's just kind of based off of what people want and what people need. Right now with work, I haven't been able to do a lot as far as sculpting goes, and I haven't had it as a source of income or a source of revenue or like extra side money at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been recently working with nail art and learning how to do nail art and things, and that's a hobby that I'm interested in, and just sharing that with friends and family is something that I've become interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I don't have any plans as far as to have where I would be selling any more of my creations, as far as something that I create artistically. It's kind of right now more of my own personal benefit and using for gifts and things like that. But if there was the demand for it, then I would do it. It's just very difficult, not only being an artist and a crafter, but also a business manager, and managing your own business and managing your own finances and your equipment costs, and then factoring in the time you're spending into it
Mm-hmm.
to be able to sell it, and finding venues to go to sell it. And right now, obviously, I have a full-time job and I go to school full-time, but it's kind of one of those things that, we'll see one day.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I could go back to it, but it would just be something that as I grow and as I gain insight, I could possibly go back to that and completely rework it a different way as far as my business goes. I would do it differently, I think.
Okay. So, you do the art that you do the crafts that you do, as a hobby, not as a business, correct?
Currently not as a
currently?
business, right.
Okay.
But I have in the past, obviously, and my mom still has hers. So it's just
Yeah.
kind of along that line of doing business management with it and customer service, also with like the crafting and the artistry.
Okay. Um, what or who or what were you like your main, or did I ask this question? Who or what were your main inspiration? Like, what artists inspired you?
I don't think
Sort of?
you did ask.
Okay.
As far as for my own crafts, I would say there are specific people on YouTube that definitely inspired me, and that I learned a lot of techniques from, that I look up to. Just people that are just like me, who create just for the sake of creating. But I would say specific artists that just inspire me just on a personal level. I would definitely say I really appreciate Van Gogh's art and Monet's
Oh,
art.
yeah.
But also I'm very inspired by Alphonse Mucha, I believe is how you pronounce his name, but like an early 1920s kind of Art Nouveau style artists with nature and floral and like celestial elements, but also with like really beautiful female figures, and I think that that's something that's just inspiring to me and is really appealing to me. Also, just lost my train of thought. Just a lot of YouTube inspiration and no one necessarily specific from there, but just people who kind of do what I do inspire me. But as far as like great artists, definitely those artists, and musical artists as well, very influential and very inspiring.
What is your environment when you make these things? Is it like day or night? Is it loud or quiet sort of thing? Is there like anything specific that needs to be going on?
I need to be comfy, definitely, and I'm usually playing music, but that's not, anything that's new. Usually listening to music. I just have to be comfortable. I have to be in a setting where there's decent lighting. I also have to make sure to be keeping my hands clean and not passing from, working with clay to like eating something, because I don't want, first of all, to be consuming, even though it's not toxic, to be consuming any of the products that I work with, as far as sculpting goes, I should say, but also so as not to get grease or dirt or anything in my medium. And it's usually pretty laid back and pretty relaxed, but I usually have music playing. Evenings work well, but sometimes it's difficult because it does get dark and then there's not a lot of light.
Yeah.
So I would say it's pretty much whenever I can, but it's kind of one of those things I use as a reward to kind of reward myself to relax. And through transitioning from moving from one place to another, I haven't even gotten my craft desk set up yet, but that's something that like I sit and I look forward to organizing all of my pieces and being able to actually sit down and create something and use my tools that I'm really looking forward to.
This question might be more so for painters or photographers, but I assume it can be for sculptors too. But what emotion or message do you try to express in your work?
I like cute things, if that counts, but I try to maybe evoke a sense of awe, because I try to make things as small as I can and just of as detailed as I can, so I want people to see that, it did take time and effort that I spent putting into it. So I kind of want people to be, I want people to be excited when they see what I've made, or, what I've recreated, or, if I take a piece of furniture and I cover it with fabric and paint the legs, then I want, people to see that I took something that was completely unattractive or maybe dysfunctional, broken, whatever, and I created it and fixed it up and made it into a functional piece or a really great piece to use like in decor or something like that. So I guess I'm just trying to either take something from a non-functional state to a functional state, or just show detail. I guess that would be like the main focus, I think.
Okay. What is your philosophy about art? Like, why is it necessary? And not to you, but also to everybody else.
I would say just on a general aspect, when I hear that schools and different places they're cutting art programs, I find that it's really necessary that youth especially have an opportunity to express themselves. And it's not always the case where a kid wants to sit down and is able to draw. You can't have a kid just sit down and if he can't draw, well, he's not artistic. You have to kind of let people explore themselves and how they express themselves, and whether that's through, painting and drawing, or if that's through sculpture, if it's through written work, poetry, or spoken word, or it's through playing instruments or writing music, whatever it is. I think that the opportunity has to be there, and I think that kids need to have somebody that's looking out for their best interests as far as inspiring them to create things and to become better at a skill or discover a skill that they enjoy, because I feel like excuse me, a lot of people don't know what their potential is artistically. I remember being in 4th grade and there was a special like magic art program,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and I was mad because I knew I was a very artistic kid, and my dad had always told me that, and my mom had always told me that I was a very artistic kid, but I couldn't sit down and draw what they wanted me to draw on paper or look at it and see it in the right way. If they had sat down and had me sculpt something out, it would have been completely different. But I wasn't viewed as artistic because it wasn't a traditional medium that I was excelling in, because I couldn't paint or draw fabulously in 4th grade. Then you're not viewed as an artistic person, and I think that we need to be encouraging children to look into other aspects of artistic expression, as far as writing being a source of creativity, or sculpting being a source of creativity, or playing an instrument. Just because you don't draw or play the violin doesn't mean you're not artistic.
Yeah.
Or even if, I think that creativity and artistry is a mindset of finding beauty not only in beautiful spaces or places where it's easy to find beauty, but also maybe in places where it's not as apparent, or maybe in negative space. So I think that it's important that, because everyone does have an artistic side, and I think it's just kind of honing in to what aspect of their creativity they want to explore more into, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I kind of had the same experience at Evergreen too with the magic art thing.
Right.
It was I was good at drawing and I had my own style. It just wasn't like everybody else's.
Exactly. And
So
that's the
that was
important
kinda
thing.
annoying.
Because while it's great if other people appreciate your art, the ultimate, the most important aspect is that you appreciate your art, and that it is something you enjoy and something you enjoy creating. And that's what's most important, and that's why it's art to you.
Yeah.
And, there's debate over what's art and what's not art, but ultimately it's something that you define for yourself. And if you're creating, what you're creating you believe is art, then that's, the most important thing. So,
Do you like your work, or do you like it right away, or does it take you a while?
certain things I do like. There are certain things where it's like, if it's not my style, if somebody requests me to make something that, isn't really my style, then I guess, not totally me. I had a customer once who asked for, trying to remember what it was. It was a bee, but it was just like specific colors on this bee, and I hated that bee so much because I thought it was ugly. I thought it was ugly. I didn't like the way that it looked. But I just made it the way that the lady wanted me to, with the right colors, and she sent me the picture, and she thought it was the most amazing thing. And, that's kind of where it wavers, where it's like, if you're creating art, obviously to sell, you have to please your customers and give them, if they request a specific item, you have to give them what they want. And just because I didn't like it doesn't mean it's not art, but also it was to please that customer anyway. But I would say, generally speaking, when I've made a piece and I've made it really well, I'm very proud of it. And I can see from where I began to where I am now, how I went from, being an average skill to being a bit of a higher skill. And I thought that, the things that I was making at that time I really liked, and now, wow, they're really great, because you just keep growing and changing in your skill, that, and changing your style or changing your technique, and you think that you like something the way that you do it then, and then when you start kind of growing and changing in your skill, then that you really like it, or you just love a certain aspect about it, about the texture, or about the colors that you combined, or whatever. But I think that you can grow to love your work more as you become a bit of a better artist too.
Do you like mooses? I needed something silly in there. I did, but
Do I
actually,
like
though,
mooses?
yeah,
I've never even seen a moose in real life, I don't think.
I've seen a moose butt in Alaska.
I know that if they fall on your car, they can kill you.
Oh,
Like in Canada, like if you hit a moose, the moose
Mm-hmm.
will fall on your car and crush your car because
Mhm.
they're huge. And I also know that they can be mean because I read that in a book.
oh, yeah. That was pretty much all the questions that I had. Did you want any last comments on this?
I don't think so. I probably rambled a lot, so you're gonna have to filter through a lot of my. I think I even threw in like 2 words that weren't even real words in there, actually.
Oh, I talked with my friend's aunt earlier today, and she rambled a lot too, but it was really great because she gave a lot of good information. That's
Yeah.
kind of
You just have to sift through it, so there
yeah,
you go.
Rambling is what I'm kind of looking for, I guess. So thanks.
No problem.